ASEAN Biz, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm your host, Andrew Chia, and together with me is
Eric Chong.
And we bring you business news on everything that happens around the world which involves ASEAN countries.
In these brand new editions, we bring you four segments. The current business updates, our durian main story, funny business moment, and health is wealth.
Let's start with our current business update. Our focus today is on the Portugal default. A very recent news article says that Portugal is also about to default on its loans, other than Greece.
Yes, so serious. So which means they start borrowing money and don't need to repay.
They have already borrowed, Eric.
Yeah, okay.
So now it's quite fashionable not to pay back your loans.
Not to pay back. Yeah, and they have every reason not to pay back also.
Let's take a closer look at this country called Portugal.
Right, Portugal has a population of 11 million, same as Greece.
That sounds a bit scary, right?
Yeah, it's
when
scary.
You say same as Greece.
So
what else is same as Greece?
The debt ratio is equally big. Okay, let's get to some figures.
Their GDP was 220 billion US in the year 2014. Almost the same as Greece. Greece is about 280, right?
Yes, and their debts to GDP ratio is 130% in 2015. Greece is already 180%. Okay, not too
Chasing
bad.
up, right?
They're still way behind Greece.
Scary debt to GDP ratio, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Mm.
besides Greece, Portugal may have to default as well, as we know, and they owe a lot of money to foreigners, which is almost the same ratio as Greece. That is, 70% of the loans are owed to foreign countries or foreign banks.
Wow, that is serious stuff, man. Okay, so the impact on EU would be the same as Greece. Investor would lose faith in the EU and the euro currency.
Sounds strangely familiar.
Yes.
And now we don't know how soon Portugal will default on their loans.
Yeah.
It seems that Greece has already defaulted.
Yes, and they said, what can you do if I don't pay?
That's a good question. What can you do if you don't pay?
Yeah.
What happens to Portugal's loan creditors? This guy, Mario Soares, who steered the country to democracy after the Salazar dictatorship, said that all political forces should unite to bring down the government.
Wow. Serious?
And repudiate the austerity policies of the EU IMF Troika. Bring down the government.
Bring down
you have any comments on that?
Well, I reserve my comment on that. Okay, bringing down the government is not easy.
This guy, he steered the government to democracy, and people still listen to him, right? He's a fantastic man. Besides that, he says, Portugal will never be able to pay its debts, however much it impoverishes itself. That means no matter how you tighten your belt, you still cannot pay the loans. If you can't pay, the only solution is not to pay. When Argentina was in crisis, it didn't pay. Did anything happen? No, nothing happened, he said.
The country is still there. The citizens are still surviving.
Interesting to say that if you can't pay, don't pay.
Don't pay. So does that apply to normal debtors?
I think their creditors right now are shivering in their pants. This guy is not going to pay. Default is necessary. Leaving the euro is the darn good idea. And if that causes problems for the European Union, well, so be it. This is not said by him. This is said by another guy who is a Forbes magazine contributor.
Okay, so there is something new. When you borrow money, you don't even need to think about paying back.
And if it causes problem for your other creditors, so be it.
So be it. That's their problem. Why you lend me money in the first place?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, follow through beside Portugal, we are looking at Spain, right? Spain also have a 1.2 trillion.
Compared to Spain, Portugal is only about, say, 20% of Spain's debts.
Yes, it's not too bad. Okay. Italy already 2.7 trillion in debt. Okay.
Yeah, these two big boys sounds like they have borrowed lots of money. But right now it seems that the other countries are a little bit more forgiving on these two big boys.
Yeah,
And
because
they're giving them more time.
probably the due date is not up yet.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at it, they are still very confident that these two countries are able to pay back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if Portugal defaults, I think the effect will be roughly the same as Greece, right?
Well, looks like it.
Yeah, what else will happen, Eric? What do you think? Will it have a bad effect on Europe and the rest of the world?
Well, I would say for external trades, those who buying from the EU might not be so much affected. Okay.
They can actually expect cheaper
They
goods,
can
right?
expect cheaper goods and probably more bigger margin for them.
That is, if the euro actually depreciates.
Depreciated.
But we are not actually sure whether
Yes.
the euro will depreciate despite all these problems from
Yes.
Greece and Portugal.
And looking at the past 2 days, the euro have been performing quite strongly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Seems that the euro is not much affected.
Not much affected, so people are still optimistic about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yet to see when the Portugal bubble bursts. Right.
Right, Eric. Before we move on to the next topic, we want to say just one or two more words on this subject of defaults, especially by European countries like Greece and Portugal. What do you think is the main problem with defaults, Eric?
Well, I would say is the country. First thing is the country policies,
Right.
right? Then their spending, and one of the main thing I would say is also corruptions.
Right, yeah. That is all the causes that got the country into trouble in the first place, right?
Yes, and also I would say the more direct effect will be their productivity.
Yes.
Yes.
The problem, like you mentioned just now, if you default, there will be nothing much that will happen to your country actually, but for the whole region and perhaps it will affect other parts of the world.
Yes, definitely, because once a country defaulted their payment,
It's kind of loss of confidence.
there loss of confidence, loss of trust. So
Yes.
for other countries to actually have trades with them, they would have second thoughts about it.
Right? Yeah, not only that particular country, but the EU itself.
EU itself will also those who trade with them definitely will have a second so-called second opinion about it, and the lack of confidence about it, because right now if I deal with you with euro, then suddenly your euro start to weaken.
Yes, I think it's a matter of like you issue a check
Yes.
and then you don't want to honor it. So
It's the
basically a
same
loss of
scenario.
trust.
So
Yeah.
when we bring it down to the micro scales, to the personal scales, it's just that person borrows money from the bank and tell the bank, I can't pay, so what can you do about me? Right? For the bank, they can sue a person for bankruptcy. But for a country, what are they going to do?
Basically, they will still face a problem whereby people will lose trust on
Trust.
them. Yeah.
And probably they will face trade sanctions.
Yes. It's a
Okay.
matter of not honoring your commitments.
Yes, then probably their stocks, their bonds will have no values. So these are the effects on the economic part for the citizens, which means the citizens are unable to use their own currencies in other countries.
Yes, no matter what excuses you give, for example, you say the interest is too high, you should not have charged me such a high interest, and you should not have caused me to have austerity drives and things like that. So the question is, still boils down to the time when you borrowed money, isn't it?
Yes. So one particular thing I'm very curious, Andrew. What happens if this country really can't pay? And what can IMF do about them? Do they go in to grab their cities?
We have actually seen in our previous story on Brexit, whereby
Right.
the creditors actually try to impound the government assets, such as a war plane
Okay.
and the presidential plane of the
Well,
Argentina.
those are just material things. Let's say you're looking at the figures are so huge. Okay, what sort of material things can you repossess? Can you impound to come back equate to that value?
Yes, it's up
Yeah.
to the creditors to demand what form of payment.
Yeah, I think probably they have to go back to the olden China days. They have to contract with a city.
Yeah, or some piece of land.
some piece of land. So maybe they
Who
will
knows?
give a small island to IMF, or give a small city to Germany.
Right.
Okay, so maybe the EU can look into these factors when they come to impounding a country. Okay, so probably they will put that in their loan agreement. Should you default, this is your city, you have to give it back to me.
So it may not come to that so soon. Probably sometime later when they really cannot pay. Right now, they're saying that, okay, we can actually pay you, but give us more time. Instead of 10 years, allow us to pay you back in 15 years or 20 years.
Or maybe 100 years.
Don't be so bad, right?
Okay.
They can actually pay you slowly.
Slowly, but looking at it, if you can't pay in 5 years, do you think you can pay in 10 years?
We'll start working harder starting from today.
Or eating lesser, or buying less gadgets?
You mean austerity drive again?
Have to. Why not? It happens to individuals. Well, when you're in difficult cash positions, you don't keep on changing handphones.
Right, yeah. The problem started when you actually enjoy too much, isn't it? Using so much money that you didn't have.
Yeah, because that's the situations and the scenarios where the people spend beyond their means.
Right, yes.
Right.
So let's hope that Greece and Portugal will learn from their lesson and not spend so much money and save some for their creditors.
And coming back to Greece, they actually face a deep problem now, where the bank only allowed them to withdraw 60 euro a day.
That's hardly enough. If you have a family of just 1 or 2 guys, it's okay.
Well, so probably that's the first step to austerity drive.
There's actually capital controls, whereby the government is trying to control the money going out of the country.
Out of the country. Well, I mean, there's some measures. Whether it's good or bad measures, nobody knows. At least there are some measures.
Right.
You know, and people have to get used to it in order to survive through all these difficult times.
So let's hope our countries in ASEAN can learn a lesson from these 2 countries, and we don't spend so much. We reduce the amount of corruption that cost the countries
and in fact,
trouble.
These 2 countries are just a very small examples of the world economics.
Yes.
You know,
there are other countries,
having the same problem, or some might be even worse.
Right.
And some might not be able to pull out of these situations. And let's learn from it.
So all the best to our countries in ASEAN.
Right. Hopefully the next big one will be ASEAN's, and we don't come with a common ASEAN's currency. Okay.
Right.
Okay, right now we will take a short break now, and we will be back with our main story for today. Stay tuned, guys. Don't go away. Okay, so look at it, Andrew. You see, through exercise, actually it stimulates our mind and our alertness.
You mean stimulate the brain cells, is it?
Brain cells, of course.
Okay, yes.
Then what other things you comes about?
Thank you. I just said I'm not so smart, isn't it? After my exercise session, I'll be a little bit smarter and sharper.
So you see, well, the Western people are truly into a lot of things. They did studies on anything, everything, right? So even this little bit of things that exercising can actually make you smarter, they also put efforts to actually study it.
Right.
Also, which gives us the so-called alertness in our health issues. And we can see that a lot of people tends to be very sedentary. They just lie around watching TVs.
Couch potatoes,
you know. So
very
they
unhealthy.
Hardly get outdoor. Most of them are in the...
Where do you live, Eric? It's very hot in Malaysia, you know.
Well,
getting outdoors is a serious health hazard.
I live in Malaysia, but I spend a lot of time outdoors. So it depends on what time of the day you do it and where you do it.
Right, yeah. Afternoon sun is too hot.
Afternoon sun is too hot, so you do it in the evening. So I would do my exercise early part in the morning, where the traffic is not heavy. Okay, and then I do it in the late evening, when the sun is down and it's much cooler. So in this way, I will get my exercise, my required exercise quota for the week. Well, for me, I exercise almost like close to about 1 to 2 hours a day. So, which means to accumulate my whole week of exercise, I would say I would be able to accumulate about 12 hours of exercise, and even weekend I exercise a longer period. So, it doesn't mean that every time you exercise, you get weaker.
Right.
Every time you exercise, you stimulate your cells, stimulate your systems, and it makes you more energetic.
Right.
And
That is our health and fitness coach, Eric, speaking.
Yes.
For the rest of us, being a couch potato seems to stimulate a lot of brain cells.
yeah. So in a way, they stimulate this way, and but frankly speaking, no matter what, please at least put in half an hour of
Get
exercise.
out of that sofa.
Get out of the comfort zone. Just put in half an hour will be fine. Half an hour a day will be fine. As long as
Walking around the house, does that count?
walking around, but most important, when you walk around the house, make sure it's like power walk. You really put effort into the walking.
You mean I need to sweat?
You need to sweat, and you don't walk like you are having a stroll in the park, like park tour kind of things.
Yeah, but
Right.
grandmother can walk faster than you.
So even though if you want to choose to walk very slow, okay, you can choose a way of walking that is very conscious to your walking, conscious to your surrounding. It also stimulates your mind. So sometimes exercise does not need to be very aggressive, and it does not need to be very strenuous.
Tai Chi or Qigong?
Tai Chi and Qigong also will be very good because it's
more relaxing, isn't
more
it?
relaxing, and it's less effort, and it's also give your oxygen level tip top. The oxygen level actually circulates around your body, and it actually give you a very alert mind throughout the day, and you don't feel tired.
Right. I think Qigong would be good for me.
Well, you can start off with anything as long as not the remote control finger. Okay. So
Great,
for the time being, maybe you can just leave your remote control alone, okay, and get out of the couch and go outdoor. You see, nowadays not many people are going outdoors, and they actually don't know what happens inside the jungle.
There's a lot of haze, Eric.
Well, you can go to somewhere else. Haze does not hover us 24 hours, and it's not every day we have haze.
There's a lot of traffic, Eric. It's very dangerous.
There's always a reason not to do something. But
You mean I'm giving you an excuse?
well, if you don't want to do something, you will have 101 excuses. But if you just need one reason to do it. So, guys, look for that reason, and you will be able to do it. Start off slow, start off small. It doesn't matter as long as you take the first baby steps.
Great, Eric. It's a wonderful tip from Eric Chong,
Right.
our health and fitness expert.
Okay. Right. So maybe we carry on with the second part of the stories by Andrew Chia.
Sure. Let's move on, guys. Welcome back. You're listening to ASEAN BIZ, and our Durian main story today is the most important element for financial success, part 1. But before we bring you our main story, Eric is going to share with you his funny business moment. The title of his story today is Engineer versus Management.
Right. The story goes like this. This is the scenario. A man is flying in a hot air balloon and realizes he's lost. He reduces height and spots a man down below. He lowers the balloon further and shouts, "Excuse me, can you tell me where am I?" The man says below, "Yes, you are in a hot air balloon, hovering 30 feet above this field." "You must be an engineer," said the balloonist. "I am," replies the man. "How did you know?" "Well," says the balloonist, "everything you have told me is technically correct, but it's no use to anyone." The man says below, "You must be in management." I reply, "I am," replied the balloonist. "But how did you know?" "Well," says the man, "you don't know where you are or where you are going, but you expect me to be able to help. You are in the same position you were before we met, but now it's my fault." Okay. Right? So the engineers will always have the technical knowledge, whereas the management always don't know the directions.
Yeah, it's a little bit sarcastic
It's
on
a bit
management,
sarcastic on the management as well as...
Naughty, Eric, you.
Okay.
Thank you, Eric, for that a funny business moment. Welcome back to the show. You are listening to ASEAN Biz, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm your host, Andrew Chia, and together with me is...
Eric Chong.
And we bring you business news on everything that happens around the world, which involves ASEAN countries. The title of our Durian main show today is The Most Important Element for Financial Success, that is part 1. And this story is brought to you by CENFIS, the Center for Financial Intelligence Studies. Now, all of us would like to be rich if we are not already rich. So today we are going to talk about this very important topic called financial success. Not only that, we want to talk about all the elements or factors that help a person become rich or financially successful. And after discussing all the factors, we are going to point out for you which is the factor that we feel is the most important.
Okay, Andrew. The most important element for financial success, right? You mentioned this is part 1. So let's start with the point of being rich. What actually does it mean to be rich?
Being rich means different things to different people. For some people, having $10,000 would make him feel very rich. For some, it could be 10 million, and for others, it could be 10 billion. Whatever figure you have in mind is fine, as long as it makes you feel rich. We don't have a right to define any amount for being rich. A young boy may feel rich if he has just $100.
Coming back to this, why do people actually want to be rich or have plenty of money?
Yes, that's a good question. Basically, we are asking the question, what we can do with money. Now, with money, we can do what we want, which means buy whatever we want, go where we want, and be with whoever we want. Example, our parents, children, or loved ones. All these take money.
Okay, so before we start talking about all the factors for financial success, we want to elaborate what financial success is all about. We use the terms financially successful and being rich. Is there any difference between these two terms?
Yes, we feel that there are differences. We would just like to add 2 more meanings to the term financial success besides just being rich. Number 1 is, besides having money, financial success also means having time freedom. It means having spare time to relax and enjoy life, isn't it?
Yes.
Being rich means having a lot of money, but you may have to keep working very hard, which is not a very good idea for a guy who is rich, right?
Definitely.
Secondly, financial success means to continue being rich. Some people are rich one day, bankrupt the next, then being rich again, then becoming bankrupt again. Now that is not our idea of financial success. Donald Trump is an example of this. We prefer financial success for guys like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Li Ka-shing, who don't have to go through being rich and broke all the time. Another rich man, his name is Adolf Merkel, committed suicide during the 2008 subprime crisis. He was ranked 94th richest man in the world on Forbes magazine. And that is also not our idea of a financially successful man. I'm sure our listeners would not object if we add just these 2 meanings to the term financial success, besides just being rich.
So, do you mean that financially successful man is a person who has lot of free time, has good relationship with families, and one who does lots of charity?
Well, there may be areas that are beyond our scope of financial success. Those may be under the scope of success in life. Things like health, relationships, spiritual awareness, and social responsibility are all very important factors that determine our happiness. But our study of financial success is limited strictly to factors that directly affect the amount of money we can accumulate. At the moment, the few factors that we have just mentioned are outside of our scope of discussion.
So what are all these factors that determine financial success?
Now, people think that financial success is all about making money. There is nothing else. Well, making money is very important, but every now and then we hear of people who do make a lot of money but are broke within a short while. Yet others make a lot of money but are not able to get ahead financially.
Why?
Well, some people may make a lot of money but they spend more than they make. And they don't have good saving habits. Some are worse. They have bad habits like gambling, partying, or having orgies, which cost a lot of money. I'm sure you know we are referring to which guy. Recently a fat guy who was having a lot of orgies, right?
Yes, and he seems like enjoying his life.
And he's still rich.
And he's still rich. So it's created an very envious situation for others. Right, so coming back. So making money, saving and spending money play an important part of financial success, right?
Absolutely.
Besides these three factors, are there others that determine financial success?
Yes, of course. Investing money is another important factor. And besides investing, one should also learn how to protect his wealth. And finally, how to distribute or pass it on to the next generation. No point having lots of wealth to be squandered by the next generation. We have seen lots of this, haven't we?
Right.
That is not our idea of financial success, isn't it?
Right. So investing, protecting, and distributing wealth are all part of financial success. Wow. We have 6 factors relating to financial success already. Are there any more, Andrew?
Yes, the 6 factors mentioned are skills relating to money. Actually, in order to become financially successful, we need more than skills. We need 2 more elements. They are financial discipline and emotional control.
Okay, so, right, listeners, we will be back after a short break to bring you the conclusion of our main story for today. Stay tuned.
The voice of sharing. 居然那想
Welcome back. You're listening to ASEAN BIZ, and our Durian main story today is the most important element for financial success, part 1. Before the break, we discussed 6 factors that can determine your financial success. Now, besides these 6 factors, which are really skills, we have 2 other factors of financial discipline and emotional control. But before that, let's take a short break to get a health tip from Eric, our health and fitness expert. His health tip for today is getting smarter through exercise.
Okay, Andrew, have you heard of these things called you can get smarter through exercise?
Yeah, I've heard of it before.
Yes, and
how does it actually work?
Well, according to this journal in Medicine and Sport Science, all right, they did a research by the relationship between getting smarter and exercise, right? Researcher at the Universities of Texas at Austin attempted this, right? Here's more reason to keep running well after you eclipse 40 years old. Endurance exercise may keep your brain working at full tilt as you age, according to this study.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which means that they drew a sample of 59 adults from the age of 43 to 65 and trained them on endurance subjects, and 27 of them they put it on the sedentary subjects, and they come up with measures on cardio fitness, ultrasound, and blood flow velocities, and they found out this. Overall, the exercise group display a better performance on memory-related tests and had better cognitive composite scores. Is there a possible link between exercise and staying sharp? People who exercise always display better vascular functions. People who exercise also display better vascular function or blood flow in the brain than the sedentary individuals. The findings from this study suggest that middle-aged runners do not only have better cardiovascular functions and health, but also enhance cognitive performance, particularly in the domains linked with age-related cognitive decline and impairment, according to Dr. Martha. The study concluded habitual aerobic exercise, vascular health, and effects which may further translate into improved cognitive performance. Although the majority of the endurance-trained participants in the study were runners, the study results implied that other forms of aerobic exercise, such as swimming or biking, can also have positive impact on vascular health and in turn cognitive function.
Fantastic.
So which means to say that when you do more aerobic exercise, you pump up your heart, then
You
your
mean
brain
I can
will
actually
work
get smarter if I exercise more?
Yeah, definitely, because when you exercise more, there's more energy and oxygen flowing inside your systems.
Right,
which
Eric.
stimulates your
I think you
brains.
got to go to the gym right after this.
Well, I think the gym might not be helped, so you go for a run with me.
Okay, yeah. I really need to be smarter, isn't it?
Yes.
What do you mean, yes? You mean I'm not smart enough now?
Not yet. You can become smarter. That's a joke.
You're really bad, Eric. Okay, let's continue with our main story for today. As we mentioned, we discussed 6 factors that can determine your financial success. Now, besides these 6 factors, which are really skills, we have 2 other factors of financial discipline and emotional control.
Are these really important?
Of course, believe me, they are actually more important than the skills. Let me give you an example. Everyone can tell you about slimming or weight loss. It's simple, just eat less and exercise more. But ask yourself, how many people are able to do it? You see, knowing something and doing it are 2 different things. That is where discipline comes in.
I see. People may know about savings and spending money, but they usually don't have the financial discipline. What about emotional control?
Emotions are feelings. Some of the common emotions that cause us to lose control of our finances are fear. We feel fear for a lot of things. Fear that we are not good enough, not smart enough, not handsome enough, or rich enough. We are afraid if you don't buy that house now, it will be more expensive later. Similarly, we are also afraid that if you don't sell that house now, the price may drop further. That's fear for you, Eric.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And how about greed, the other common emotion?
Yes.
For people who are working for bosses, as an employee, we feel greed when we look forward to pay increase, bonuses, and promotions. As a businessman, we feel greedy when we calculate the potential profits we can make from selling our stuff. You see, Eric, not only businessmen can be greedy, employees also can be greedy.
Employees always ask for a rise.
Increase in salaries.
Increase in salary, decrease in working
productivity.
hours. So that's a very typical mentality.
So we can see that all our emotions of fear and greed may not have anything to do with the reality, but these feelings are real, and most of the time they control our decisions instead of the facts. Besides these 2 emotions, emotions like anger, jealousy, pride, cause us to make bad decisions about money. Remember the last time you bought or sold something because you felt angry, jealous, or proud? Therefore, it's important that we control these feelings. Otherwise, they can cause us to lose control of money and get into financial trouble.
So, there we have all together 8 factors. Can our listener count? Is that 8? Okay. That control and determine our financial success. Making money, saving, and spending.
3,
investing, protecting, and distributing
6,
wealth. Financial discipline
7,
and emotional control.
8.
Every single one of these factors directly affects our financial health and success.
Yes, and everybody believes that the most important factor for financial success would be just making money. If you know how to make a lot of money, all your financial troubles would be over and you will become a rich man. That sounds simple enough.
But
that's all to it.
Isn't that a lot of people mentality have the same?
Yes. That's why we have seen that there are actually 8 factors, not just one factor of making money.
So, now we come to the title of our story.
Yes.
That is the most important element for financial success. Out of these 8 elements, which is the one that is the most important?
Well, Eric, the answer is none of the above.
Sure, now after you've been through so long For so many minutes, you said none of the above.
Yeah, I hate to disappoint you, Eric, but that's the answer.
What?
None of the 8.
I thought we have covered all the 8 elements of financial success. Is there anything we left out?
Yes, there's one element of financial success that we have not covered, and that is the most important element.
Wow, I'm dying of suspense now. What is that? Is it a new skill?
No, it's not a skill, and it's not something to do with discipline or emotions either.
I'm getting even more curious. Tell me, what is that element all about?
It is the most important element of financial success. That is because all the other elements we have mentioned earlier only make sense when we place them together with this element. On the other hand, this element gives all the other elements their sense of importance. We can call it a concept, we can call it a strategy, we can call it the ultimate strategy for financial success. In fact, the definition of financial intelligence revolves around this concept or strategy.
Folks, we would love to tell you the answers to the questions. What the most important element for financial success? But that's all the time we have for this show today. Stay tuned and come to our next show to find the conclusion of the sequel to today's story on part 2 of the most important element for financial success on our next show.
Here's Andrew and Eric wishing you health and wealth, and
See you
on our next show.
Bye.